the Minister of Implementation, Mr. Hotspot and the Hotspot. Yes, Minister of Transformation, Mr. Hotspot, you in the hotspot. I must extend my hand, say congratulations on your mission to clean up this island. But I made an observation, you are nicking in one section, make your operation more is to just clean by the road, and this we can't afford, cause if you clean across the board. So all them men and the elements who trying to derail the government, clean them up fast, Sunday, don't let the time pass, Sunday, cause if you ever make that mistake, it's one time again all you're going to make. Clean them up fast, Sunday, don't let the time pass, Sunday, you could bring your mop, you could bring your broom, but don't forget you have to vacuum. Just clean them up fast, Sunday, don't let the time pass, Sunday, it's have some BS in ministry and pick appointed by an MP, then you have to monitor, are they on board with the agenda? Well, if not, tell them to pack your first obligation is to this rock. We'll continue cleaning, but clean up everything. Boy, what we expect, clean up campaign full effect. Clean them up fast, no time to relax. I know it's a task, so clean them up fast, fast, fast. And all hands on deck.
All hands on deck. Clean them up fast. Those who are undermining the agenda, the transformation agenda, because what we need now more than ever is genuine people on board to develop this beautiful country of ours. I want to welcome you wherever you are to this very important segment where I will speak, laying the foundation for meaningful engagement. And I want to start off by encouraging the folks on Facebook and YouTube to please share the live. Sharing is caring. And when you are on Facebook, please follow, click follow or like. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel so you will get notification once I am on. I want to start off by highlighting some good things that are happening with, the Honorable Jonathan Lacrette. He is doing some work in Fontenoy. The government is spending some $400,000+ in Fontenoy. You know, Fontenoy, that's Keith Mitchell's constituency. And I think it's a good thing. So let me just showcase that.
Work has commenced in Upper Fontenoy, St. George to address flooding that continues to plague private property and homeowners. Government has made a significant financial investment of more than $400,000 to remedy the issue through the construction of retaining walls on both sides of a ravine. Details in this report by Sherry-Ann Noel.
Minister for Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs, Senator Jonathan Lacrette, visited the project site on Wednesday to have an appreciation of what the remedial work entails. He used the opportunity to express gratitude to his cabinet colleagues for their support in realizing the project.
The investment for government is well over $400,000. I think that the residents have been clamoring for quite a while now as it relates to the water, especially when heavy rains fall and the water does not have a controlled channel or a controlled path in which it is directed. And as a result, it started undermining the foundation of houses, etc. So it is imperative that the two retaining walls are built and that the construction takes place now before the heavy rains actually do start sometime August into September. I did meet with the contractor last week and he did assure me that we had a dialogue as it relates to employment, and I did request of him to ensure that at least he employ some of the young men within the vicinity that are not working currently. And as you can see, when we came here this morning, there are already 3 of them there. So he did stick to his word and ensure that he provided some semblance of employment for them. So I'm particularly pleased about that.
Road officer for the St. George Northwest constituency, Kevin George, outlined what the project entails. He said, weather permitting, it will be completed in 4 to 6 months.
The scope of work would entail 294 feet, 95 feet thereabout, retaining walls on both sides of the ravine, also with concrete paving the center of the ravine to control the flow of the water in the ravine, yes. The reason for this presently is because of one, the width of road that is in this area. We have a very narrow width of road existing, like 7 feet thereabout, and one of the idea is to have that road widen a bit so that the vehicles that are up there could be able to traverse the area, and 2, the walls would help retain the edges of the ravine.
The work, he says, will intensify as time progresses and urge residents to exercise patience with the noise and dust that will emanate from the construction site.
Presently, we are using the compressor to drill the stones, known as blasting the stones, but now what we do, we drill and split the stones so that we can get the heavy stones out of the way of the project.
Tafari Philip, a resident of the area who is employed on the project, says it is one that is welcomed by all residents due to the challenges they have encountered over the years when it rains heavily.
The bridge very low and the water does overflow the bridge and people in the bottom does get real water. People like, for instance, me, I just get a lot of water down there, all through the road from the heavy, not proper drainage of the water, you understand? Yeah. But I'm really grateful for that. I know to say how much I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that because I feel a lot of the pressure. You understand? I can closest to the heat, so to speak. Yeah. So I'm really grateful for that. And there's a very good move, real progress for the community. And I love to see that. I can see nothing much more than I'm really grateful for it. Because it's a blessing for me as well. Not only just the community, as me personally as well. Because I used to face it real bad.
Right, so congratulations there. Big up your whole self. The Honorable Jonathan Lacrette doing a lot of work in that constituency. At this point, let me feature the Honorable Adrian Thomas, who is also doing a lot of work when it comes to agriculture. So the fisher folks, they were reassured, they were informed that they too can benefit from concessions and, just name it, vehicles, concession on vehicles, equipment, and so on and so forth. So let me feature that now.
Our administration recognizes this industry very much. We understand what it means to this country, and we understand what it means to the over 4,000 fisher folks in Grenada, CARICOM, and Petit Martinique. This industry has the potential to elevate not only the sector, but the kind of foreign exchange that it can generate can lift Grenada in any hole that we find ourselves. So as a government, hence the reason why we make the extra effort to subsidize as much as possible the fishing industry. Once you're a registered fisherman, you can have access to all the concessionary privileges that government offers. For vehicle, for boats, equipment, communication and telecommunication equipment. And we'll be coming this year, as I speak, the World Bank project will be rolling out in the next couple of days, where we'll be giving extra assistance to the fisher folk, because we want to ensure that they are not left in the dark. They are part of this society, and they create a significant contribution to the food industry.
Right, so you heard it here from the Honorable Adrian Thomas. And again, the government is strategic they're working with a plan. Hence the reason they're investing so much in the fishing industry, right? So the fisher folks, they're benefiting significantly from the injection the government is making in that area. So thumbs up to the Minister of Agriculture and the NDC administration. Let's move to a very important statement from CARICOM, where they're urged to unite as they move beyond that 50 years of existence.
CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett says the achievements of the regional body are proof that vision and concerted action are critical for sustainable prosperity and security for the region. Addressing the opening of the just concluded Heads Conference, Dr. Barnett urged regional leaders to celebrate the Golden Jubilee with pride, as so much has been accomplished during that period. She said although the region continues to grapple with issues of disaster management, security, climate change, public health, and other challenges, the many achievements over the years are proof that there is strength in unity.
We have established critical institutions that are high functioning and highly regarded. No one can question the excellence of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, exemplified in their leadership in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The same applies to the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, whose performance, despite severe constraints and growing demands from the increasing impact of natural disasters, continues to be exemplary. The work of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center has earned its universal acclaim, and the list can go on. Despite changing global realities, our community has demonstrated that resolve and resilience necessary to maintain the course of integration. The Caribbean community has done well. It is therefore fitting that we acknowledge and celebrate our Golden Jubilee. I have every confidence that our deliberations and decisions over the next 2 days of meeting will set us on a course for another 50 successful years.
Outgoing Chairman and Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Honorable Philip Edward Davis, is pleased with the progress made over the years and during his 6-month stint at the helm. He highlighted one area leaders gave priority in recent months, which he anticipates will be maintained to reclaim a peaceful, secure region in the not-too-distant future.
Our priorities have also engaged with a range of security-related issues on which I am pleased to report we have seen a marked degree of progress. At the Regional Symposium to Address Crime and Violence held here in Port of Spain in April, we collectively declared crime as a public health issue across our region, sending a clear message that we will not tolerate the epidemic of violence that has gripped our nations and claimed the lives of far too many of our young people. In our declaration, we recognize the urgency of crime in our nations and its cost to our social, economic, and health systems. We immediately implemented the CARICOM Arrest Warrant Treaty and laid the foundation for many other necessary frameworks to build cross-border cooperation, enhance capacity, and enact reforms to ensure safety in our communities. Now, colleagues, we must forge ahead to meet the commitments of our declaration. Our nations and our people cannot afford any less than resolute action.
Incoming Chair, Dominica's Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, is optimistic that as Chair, further gains will be made towards security, development, and sustainability.
The issue of free movement, non-tariff barriers to trade, reliable and affordable transportation are all fundamental to a truly integrated CARICOM. We must address our minds and collective will to resolve some key issues. We have the opportunity on this historic occasion, and as we deliberate over the next few days, to take some decisions that can be truly transformative for our people and which will shape the future of our community for the next 50 years. 16 years ago, we showed considerable commitment and political will to allow our people to move freely through 10 member states. It worked then, it can work now.
The heads participated in the historic signing of a letter which was placed in a time capsule to be opened by their successors in the next 50 years on July 4th, 2073. A flag-raising ceremony and tree planting initiative were also held to celebrate CARICOM's milestone.
Beautiful, wonderful. I love that. All right. It's a little regional news there, CARICOM. And folks, you realize our government is focused and they are working with a plan. They told us during the campaign, that's the NDC, they would prioritize healthcare, they would prioritize education, they would prioritize agriculture. And we are seeing that happening, and also the creative industry. So we are actually seeing the work, the results of that. And the last time around, I told you that the young people now have free access to TAMCC because their parents do not have to find that $810 tuition fee. But I forgot to mention NULO is also included. So not just TAMCC as the lone college on island, but NULO as a tertiary institution. The tuition fee is also removed there too. So I thought I should mention that. And I want to play for you again a piece I played with our Prime Minister speaking passionately about education, because on the weekend, me and a number of young people had a conversation, and they were very impressed that the government is seeing the need to go into the technical and vocational area, because not every child or every child possesses the academic ability, the biology, to be bright in biology, physics, chemistry, that kind of stuff. They can be very good with their hands. Yes, they can read. Yes, they can write. Yes, they can do math. But their path might just be plumbing, carpentry, masonry, electrical engineering, tailoring, that kind of thing. So it is, or clothing and textile and so. It is so important that we focus heavily on that, because the curriculum has been so designed for academia, right? Academics. For those who are interested in academia, becoming some kind of lawyer or some kind of biologist or some kind of chemist, somebody in that field. But when it comes to the carpentry and the masonry and the plumbing and the, being an electrician and so on, an architect, and we have not put enough in that area. Also, in the whole hospitality area too. We have plenty hotels. We talk about plenty hotels. But are we training our people? Or are we just talking? So now you have a government who is saying, hey, let's do this thing right. We have major projects here. And if you go on the project site, you would realize foreigners working on those sites. Sometime next year, I think March, April, May, somewhere down there, CARICOM nationals will be free to travel to all the CARICOM territory, all the islands within CARICOM. So the competition will be even stiffer and tighter. So you have to think about that as you move forward. So our government deciding to train more people in the technical and vocational areas is a good thing. Very, very good thing. Because if we see that construction is a very important driver when it comes to our GDP, when it comes to the development of this country, why have we paid lip service to that industry in terms of the technical and vocational training required to get more carpenters, more masons, more electricians, more plumbers, right? More joiners, more architects, more seamstresses or tailors and or mechanical engineers, right? Mechanics. You understand the point? If we are saying that that is what is driving the economy, we need to train our people. Our young people need to know that not because you're dirty, it means that you're not important. No, 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 no. In fact, a good friend said to me, the best thing he did was left his work after he was victimized by the NNP administration and he got early pension, was to get some land and start farming. That was the best thing he did. His children went to school. They became lawyers, farmers, professional people. They became professional people. But there are people who look down on that kind of, those kind of jobs. But we have to start to put in our children's mind that being an agronomist, being a mechanic, being an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter, a mason, being somebody in that field is all fine. It's all okay. In fact, I was listening a little piece online where a doctor was explaining that his mother had 3 children. He went into the science, he became a doctor. His brother went into the architectural aspect of, the construction. He became an architect, drawing plans and other things like that. And then his next brother became an agronomist, a person in the field of agriculture. And he said today, and he specialized as a doctor, he said today his 2 brothers have far more financially than he has. And they're all prudent with their finance. They're all children of the cloth. In other words, they go to church, they believe in God, they don't drink and party and all these different things. They are prudent. They manage their resources properly. So it's not that he was bad managing or mismanaging or that kind of thing, his money. But he actually said openly that they acquired more wealth than him, because in a harvest of, let's say, tomatoes or cabbages or carrots or lettuce or whatever, that brother would collect hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the architect who draws, who build, that person, that brother makes millions of dollars. So do not look down on a person who is in the field of agriculture or a mechanic or a plumber or an electrician or a mason, a carpenter, right? A joiner. Do not look down on these people. Without them, the society will be stagnant. And there wouldn't be much economic activity taking place. So I am so moved when young people could point out that the direction that the Prime Minister, our beloved Prime Minister, the most honorable Deacon Mitchell, is heading and taking education is very important. It's no longer just about you going to school and pursuing just the science subjects. Because, that is what it has always been. That is how they design it. Right? He's saying the technical and vocational aspect must be included. And our kids need to go to school all the way up to 18. They have to go up to 18 instead of 15 and 16, and they're disadvantaged because they go into the job market and they underpay them and that kind of stuff. But if they get an extra 2 years, then they can learn some skill. They could learn to cook, home economics, right? There are a lot of people who leave school and don't know how to cook basic stuff. They can't burn water, and that's the truth. But with home economics in schools, you're going to learn to bake, you're going to learn to cook, you're going to learn to prepare breakfast, you're going to learn to prepare lunch, you're going to learn to prepare supper. It might take you a whole year to learn, but you're going to learn. So that is needed. So let me play back, because I know those young people, they're listening. Let me play back for you what the most honorable Deacon Mitchell had to say in the Parliament about education. I think it's important. And maybe before I play that, let me again say to you, my event comes up on August the 3rd, Thursday, August the 3rd at Wildwoods Park. So if you have not yet purchased a ticket to support, and if you can't make it, buy a ticket or two as a form of support. So like, for example, when I spoke yesterday, 3 people. So one person bought 2 tickets online and another bought 1, right? So that moved to 9 tickets online and 5 tickets in person, all right? So that's about 14. So we're climbing up gradually, but we need to be way further than this, right? And also I want to thank the folks who reached out to assist with getting some stuff to, to decorate and to lift the place where the event will be. So I want to sincerely thank you. All right? Nice.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I feel quite passionate about education, so I think it's important for me to, in the absence of the Minister of Education, obviously, in this House, to speak a little bit on the question of education. And I will start off by saying I actually agree with everything that has been said by the MP for St. Andrew Southeast. And that education is something we should feel passionate about. But I also think we should not, because it has been that way, continue to believe we can improve our education system by being reluctant to make some of the changes we need to make. And I appreciate that sometimes when you do make changes, the disruptions will always cause some level of discomfort. And that it is important for us as the policy holders to treat with the concerns or the discomfort in an open and frank and honest manner. So that the public, parents and students in particular, the teaching profession, the business community, understand what it is we are trying to achieve. And I say we here, meaning including members of the opposition. And I'm particularly mindful that the MP for St. Andrew Southeast has been the Minister of Education for some considerable time. And so perhaps she is more uniquely placed than anyone else to speak on the issue of whatever policy initiatives that might have been started under, or while she was Minister of Education, or while the opposition members had formed the government. So I think the sober question we have to ask first and foremost is whether our education system is really serving the needs of the population of Grenada. I think that's the first and foremost question we have to ask. And I think there are easy tools by which we can measure that. If the education system was serving our needs, why do we have the Imani program? And the millions of dollars we pump into the Imani program, if we, from a policy perspective, had pumped those funds into the education system, would we have the need? Because let's face it, the Imani program is essentially a remedial program. We talk about life skills. I don't think at 12, 13, or 14 you get into the Imani program. I'm subject to correction. What age do you get into the Imani program? At 18. Okay. So if you wait till 18 to teach your children life skills, what's the point of the last 18 years? In fact, I would have taught the life skills, in some instances are more important during the first 18 years than thereafter. So when we talk, and I say this because I sometimes get the impression that whenever we talk about something, somehow it's been viewed as we saying something is new. Of course it's not new. CVQ is not new. TVET is not new. The NTA, we met all these things there. And we are accepting that they need to be strengthened, expanded, encouraged, frankly, given more prominence than the relentless pursuit of academic certification. And I'm saying that has to be a fundamental shift that starts at primary school, not secondary school. So when we talk about access to education, and access to even secondary, I'm using secondary here simply as far as I view, Mr. Speaker, as when you start becoming a teenager. It is not just academic access. It may very well mean going in a TVET type arrangement almost exclusively. And we have to be able to say as a nation, that's fine. We support that, we encourage that, and give our students who want to pursue that type of education the same prominence, the same accolades as someone who wants to pursue the traditional academic type routes. And so when we talk about equity, yes, because we also want them to know that the result of that equity would be the ability to get employment and to be deployed in the economy without feeling that you're a second-class citizen. So I'm saying, where's the accolades of the furniture maker, the mason, the plumber, the electrician? Where historically, and this has nothing to do with the opposition, I'm saying this is us as a society, where historically have we created, in our post-independent period, an education system that held up these people? We have not. And so the question of access and equity and the broader context of what kind of education system we have means oftentimes, respectfully, the people who are in control of the education system themselves resist the change. And this is just the nature of life. If you are in control of something and somebody else tells you you need to change, oftentimes you will resist the change because you just want to keep doing what you've done. And this is a national challenge that we face. Our principals, our teachers, our parents, our students, we as a society have to ask ourselves, if we keep churning out hundreds of students who then need remedial literacy classes, remedial math classes, and we can talk about that. I don't think the former Minister of Education and current MP could have been satisfied with our pass rates in math and literacy. And I'm using very basic terms. I'm not even calling it mathematics and whatever. Math and literacy. And we've had some policy initiatives that have failed us. So where are the literacy specialists? Are they in secondary schools or primary schools? They're in secondary schools. They're not at the primary schools. So of course what is going to happen is that by the time you get to the secondary school, you have children who can't read and write. So they're functionally illiterate. And so, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this is something that we have to talk about openly as a nation. This is not about casting blame on the opposition. This is not casting blame on us. I'm saying as a country, as a nation, we have valued, cherished, encouraged one type of education system. One based purely on this excessive obsession with CXC, certification, and these grades. And we've obsessed over it, and what has it produced? I'll tell you what it has produced, Mr. Speaker. The Minister of Labour will tell you that we are signing certificates for work permits en masse for construction workers. So you can go down to last just and count the number of Grenadians who work there versus the number of non-Grenadians who are doing construction type jobs. That's the reality. We can go to Spice Basket in St. George's Northeast, which has been renovated by one of the call centers which have expanded from St. Andrew. They are importing carpenters. When I acted as the Minister for Labour, because the Honourable Minister was outside, and I saw the work permits, I actually blinked a couple of times to make sure that I wasn't imagining this. That is what is happening. That is the end result. We can go to all the marine yards. Other than having our people work as helpers who pick up, sing, and drop stuff here, all of the skilled technicians are imported. So I am saying, Mr. Speaker, our education system has to be fundamentally revamped. And frankly, we do not have the time. And so yes, some of the decisions are going to have to be made quickly and they are going to have to be implemented. Our children will continue to get left behind. I can go further, Mr. Speaker. What is the percentage that tourism contributes to our GDP? Everybody accepts it is the single biggest driver of the economy. And look at our education system. We pay lip service to it. There's no culinary school on the island. There really is no service school on the island. New and Son obviously have done their best and have tried. TAMCC to some extent. But if you just take the total number of persons who work in the tourism industry, you will see that our education system again makes no reference to that. And worse yet, Mr. Speaker, if it does, it is always the low-end jobs that our people get. So they are not part of the supply chain. They don't own the dive shops. You have dive shops in CARICOM. Is any Grenadian operating a dive shop in CARICOM? No. So, Mr. Speaker, the reality is, if we do not, as a parliament, as a cabinet, as persons within the education system, sober up to the reality. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we're even importing people to do some of the low-end jobs. People don't want to accept that. There are Grenadians hiring Filipinos to do domestic work and getting work permits right in Grenada. That's the reality of the situation. And then it's compounded by, and the Minister of Education will tell you that, because we encourage this fascination with grades and certification and brand name school versus non-brand name school. What have we created, Mr. Speaker? We've created a situation where some schools are overcrowded and some are underpopulated. We have to tell the truth. Your child is at a disadvantage if they're in a class with 60 students or 50 students or 40 students compared with 20. So why would we have schools? And Mr. Speaker, I'm not casting this on any. I am saying we face this reality now. And I hope the MP for Petit Mabik and CARICOM would allow me to say this. In the current allocation, Mr. Speaker, we have a situation where Bishop's College, a brand new school, is built. It has how many? 28 students? 28 have been allocated to Bishop's College. And how much to Hillsborough? Over 50 something. You have a newer school that's probably bigger and has more space. So you send double the amount of students to one compared to the other. Now, I'm thinking, if we simply explain to our parents, or students, or stakeholders, how could that make sense? You're obviously going to be overworking one set of teachers, underworking some. We have to be courageous enough to tell the truth and say, let us have a conversation. So even if you want your child to go to Hillsborough, there's a certain point when you don't put them outside, in the hallway. You have to say, listen, we make the school great. The parents, the teachers, the students. We have the ability to improve and change the schools. We can't keep pushing everybody to go PBC, or pushing everybody to go Convent St. George's, or pushing everybody to go SAS. Because the schools will be overcrowded, the teachers will be stressed, our schools are not air conditioned, the place is hot, you can go on and on and on. So we have to get to the point where we say, the equity requires us to make all our schools good. All all our schools great. And we cannot do so if we have a system where we're trying to squeeze people into a particular school because of the historical brand name associated with it. Many of which is artificial. And I will give the perfect example of my alma mater. Of course it's a great school. But why did it perform academically well? Because if 50 boys pass common entrance or CPA, 40 of them goes to PBC. That's all. In those days, it was a more or less single stream school. 1 Form 1, 1 Form 2, 1 Form 3. Now it's double and triple stream. So you can do well in St. David's Secondary School. It's probably cheaper. You don't have to take the bus. So I'm saying the issue of education, Mr. Speaker, is something that as a country, we have to have a national debate upon. We have to examine what has happened in the last 50 years. What we've been very good at, let us keep it, enhance it, and improve it. The parts of it that needs changing, as the Jamaicans would say, dash it away. And I therefore welcome the comments by the former Minister of Education and the MP for St. Andrews South East, and I will encourage her, whether it's to write, whether it's to speak, whether it's to advocate, so that we could have the benefit of experience and some of the policy initiatives, so that we could actually make and be proud of the education system 10, 15 years from now. Because as it stands, Mr. Speaker, I am being honest, I don't know that in the round, we could say that our education system is doing what we want or expect of it. And there's rapid changes taking place, which our teachers and so on need to grapple with. Rapid technology change, and I'll end on this note. I'm trying to remember if I graduated from primary school or whether when I left, we just went there. I honestly don't know. I suppose knowing most schools, you celebrate any achievement. So I'm going to assume, since my memory is failing me, that there was some form of graduation. But I attended my daughter's graduation yesterday. Right? I forgot actually that I was meant to give the charge to the students. So I just assumed I was there as a parent, and then I remembered. And so in the 5 or 10 minutes that I was waiting while the graduation was going on, I took out my phone, Mr. Speaker, and I went on to chat GPT. And if you don't know what that is, Mr. Speaker, I'll explain to you shortly. And I asked ChatGPT to give me a 3-minute speech to a graduating class of 11 to 12-year-olds. And it gave me the speech in a minute. Exactly 3 minutes. Then I said, I read it, I didn't like it. So I then said to it, give me an inspirational speech for a graduating class of, 11-year-olds. I got the speech back in a minute. I still didn't like it. So I then said, give me a funny speech. And I got the funny speech. And I went up and I delivered the speech that was written by ChatGPT. Now at that point, everybody laughed, everybody clapped. And I then said to the audience, I have a confession to make. And the confession is, I did not write the speech. My assistant did not write the speech. The press secretary did not write the speech. I in fact forgot that I was required to give this charge. And that the speech was written by artificial intelligence, the program known as ChatGPT. And as you can see, for the most part, you all like the speech. We clapped. The areas that was meant to be funny was funny. So the question is, Mr. Speaker, I confessed, I admitted that. In the context of our education and in the context of artificial intelligence, when you give a child an assignment that says, go write a descriptive story about your parish, St. David, Mr. Speaker, ChatGPT can do that for you in 30 seconds on your phone, multiple versions of it. If you require to hand that assignment into your teacher, you think if you do not tell the teacher this is ChatGPT, that the teacher will know? That's the kind of challenge our education system faces. And I'm not pretending I know the answer to it. But that is the kind of power of the technology that we exist now. And it is not just descriptive, it will be the same for math, it will be the same for engineering, all of those things. It could even give you, if you tell it, write an election campaign for the National Democratic Congress for an election, it will write the campaign for you. It will tell you what you need to do. So the reality is, we are going through fundamental technological change at a pace that is unheralded, unforeseen. And our children have to grow up in that world, They have to grapple with that world, or teachers have to grapple with that world. And so we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. And so it will take a national approach. It will take all of us consulting, being on board, and I will accept that the book starts with us, in making sure that we engage in that more consultative process on the education system so that we can implement the right policies for the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Right. So that was the most honorable Deacon Mitchell there, speaking passionately about education and what he sees, in the future for education for Grenada, CARICOM, and PT Martinique. His whole vision for education, looking back and looking forward. That's really good. Reflecting on what we have, what we had, and what we want to achieve as we move forward. I want to take the opportunity at this point to extend my deepest condolences to the family and friends of the late Madonna Harford. She was a stalwart when it comes to trade unionism, when it comes to working for the people of the country, particularly the workers of the country. She has been an avid listener and follower of this program. She would meet me from time to time and say, Kem Jones, but I ain't here last night. I ain't here this morning. What's going on? She has always been on the ball. She passed away in Germany. I do extend my deepest condolences to her family. All right, may her soul rest in peace. Madonna Harford, who passed away only recently. So again, my deepest sympathy. Folks, I want to thank you very much for being a part of the program. I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening. I'll be back in the evening time from 8 in the p.m. Bye for now. Take good care. Bye for now. We have to pull the curtains.
The proceeding was a paid program. The views expressed on this program are those of the host and guests of this program and not the views of this radio station.